So in this video, I'm going to talk as directly and as politely as possible. I'm not going to joke. I'm not going to swear, I guess. This is just a kind of straight point. I was thinking about bedroom feminism. You know, when you're really young and you're sitting in your bedroom and you think, hey, maybe I should do some videos. Maybe I should do a blog or something on being feminist from my bedroom. And I thought about maybe responding to one. And because all of them have kind of the same argument, I thought, well, maybe I could just do one debunk of a bedroom feminist argument, and then I could leave it at that, and that would be my video addressing it. But then I kind of looked at it and I realized I didn't really know how to do it. Everybody else does it fairly well, but I don't think I could pull that off. So instead of doing that, I thought, why not actually talk directly to a bedroom feminist? So if that's you, that's who I'm talking to right now. This is just a direct thing that I'm talking to you about. And I know that there's been a kind of attitude where some people think that you can't bother talking to people who are on the extreme left. You can't bother talking to people who are SJWs because they won't listen to you. And I kind of understand that, but I'm not ready to give up just yet. Even if it just means me having this video out there and no response to it, I don't care. At least I have this and I'm trying. That's really all that I want to do. So in the description, I have links that basically just go over a couple of common arguments like the wage gap and stuff. All they do is just break it down. They're just articles, maybe a channel. The only channel that I'd really talk about is maybe Bane666AU or TLDR or something, and they just directly go through things. They don't actually have much of a comment on them. Those are the videos that I'd pick because I understand that even though I think people like Bearing are very lovely people, I know that a lot of feminists don't think that. And they think that these people aren't very nice. So I'm not going to try and recommend you to them if you're going to not really want to hear what they have to say because you don't like them. I get that change in perspective. And I think that maybe in time, if you took a look at some of these things and you decided to take a look at some other people who have the same opinion, you would probably check them out and maybe enjoy them. But for now, I understand why you wouldn't. So that's really all I'll be dealing with, just the pure arguments in that aspect. So my first reason for this video is because I'm just very concerned with this idea that when you have young girls like my age or maybe younger, it's just this idea that there are so many things in the world now that you're supposed to be afraid of. And I understand and I support the idea of saying that young women should be able to do stuff and go out there and be strong, and that's fine. But that's not really what feminism is preaching anymore. And if it is, it's immediately contradicting itself by saying that women have too much to deal with and that we should immediately just boss everyone around and have help from everyone else to solve our problems. I watched a couple bedroom feminist videos and they all seem centered around the idea of how hard it was to be a woman. And if you're a feminist and you're watching this, I'm telling you that you should not have to fear the world like this. Because those problems, a lot of those problems are either exaggerated or they're not real. Or men face them just as much. So you complaining about it from a gendered perspective is really dividing people and not trying to fix the problem and making it worse. And I'm not blaming you for that at all. And I don't think that you're stupid for being a feminist. Let me put this out there. If anybody tells you you're stupid for being a feminist, you're not. I think you're just confused. I think that you've just grown up in this kind of mindset that a lot of younger people are growing up in, like me, where we think that it's okay to not really see other people's perspectives, and it's okay to grow up with this one narrative that we have to deal with, and we just keep going with that. And we don't actually see other people's points of view. What I'm trying to say is that you don't have to feel stupid or ashamed if you're questioning your beliefs. If maybe you see this and you're like, I don't know about being a feminist, don't try and think that that's a bad thing. A lot of the time, this kind of censorship kind of attitude teaches you that you should be afraid of the world for all these imaginary problems, and then when you try to look into those problems, they tell you that you shouldn't be looking at other people's opinions because it makes you a Nazi or something. And that's really not okay. Because the minute that I started looking at other people's opinions, and the minute that I told myself to stop being guilty for doing that, I felt so much better. Because I wasn't just being told something. I was actually figuring it out for myself. And that's really what the essence of being whatever you think a strong woman is thinking for yourself. And if all you're doing is ignoring other people's perspectives on this issue, and being scared of the idea that you could possibly disagree, you are not really being a strong woman in the aspect that you want to. And that's not your fault. But I'm saying that the only way that you can fix that is to start opening your mind a bit more, because no one else is going to fix it for you. Which is another reason why I'm addressing this. Because even though I'm the one who kind of broke out of this idea for myself and started looking around and rejecting any narratives that tried to trap me in it like a cult, I wish that I had someone who would guide me through it, someone who could, I guess, hold my hand through it. And even though I can't hold the hand of whoever's watching this who wants that, I can just say all of this stuff. I can put links in the description. I can do whatever I can to at least get close to the idea that I'm guiding you through it. At least help you in some way. So what I'm saying is, even if you look at all of this stuff and you think that you still want to be a feminist because you still think that's true, totally fine. Totally fine. I'm not trying to get at you for being that. I'm not trying to convert you to my side. What I'm trying to say is, just be comfortable with the idea of looking at other things, because censorship isn't something that is just against the person who's being censored. I think it's harming you, because it's not freeing your mind. It's not freeing your mind because you're not looking at other things. And if you really think that being a feminist is being a good thing, is being right, then you'll just look at this and you'll go, okay, I can debunk this easily, and you'll just move along. You wouldn't need to censor people. And that's the truth. You wouldn't need to censor people because you already have all the facts. If you think you're right because you're a feminist, just go ahead, look at these things, and challenge yourself. One of the things that concerns me about this whole feminist thing is just how much pressure it puts on people. And let me start with how much pressure it puts on women. It keeps telling you that it's okay to be fragile, and that it's okay to censor people, and it's okay to just stay in a hug box and be who you are around this wall of people who only agree with you and shut out everyone else. But then in the next second, it's telling you that you need to be a proper feminist and you need to be more active and you need to do this and that and be stronger and just keep going and keep exerting and not give up on the feministness. That's all that it is at the end of the day. It just wants to control you. It's not letting you feel. That's what it means to be human, is to feel and to understand. And it's not letting you do any of that because it's trying to control you so much that you've lost perspective on reality. And if you can't connect to other people and understand why they might need things or why they have different opinions to you, then you're driving people away, and that's just going to make you feel terrible because you can't connect with anyone. And those are my concerns. Those are my concerns because I don't want young women to be afraid. I don't want young women to have this idea that they think is really right and it's the only idea because they've never been introduced to anything else. And then they'll come on YouTube and they'll say some stuff about their opinion, and all of a sudden they're getting these different things, these different perspectives in their comment section, and they don't know how to deal with it, so they just shut it down. And that can be a very jarring thing, but what I'm saying is shutting it down isn't the way to go. Actually reading these perspectives is the way to go, because you'll get used to it and you'll understand why there are different perspectives. I mean, feminism tells you that it's okay if you're fragile, but then the next second it's telling you to smash the patriarchy and that you need male help while doing so. I don't want you as a woman to feel like you have to have this ideology, like you're strong, but only when you have a group of feminists. Feminists tell me that the only reason I care about men's problems is for male attention, or that I have to join feminism, otherwise they wish that I wasn't a woman. That's basically telling a woman that to be a woman, you have to think a certain way. And I don't know about you, but I think that maybe if you look at feminism the way that you're looking at it, you probably don't want that to be a part of feminism. But unfortunately, that's what it's become. Becoming a feminist, you really are being kind of misogynistic, because you're saying that women have to belong in this group in order for them to be strong and to do what they want and to be free. How can you be free when you're tied down to a group with rules and you have to think a certain way and you have to do a certain job, and you're always hounded to do more and more and more, and you don't have a space to do what do you want to do? I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be a teacher? What do you want to do? Because that doesn't have to involve your ideology. That doesn't have to involve feminism. And feminism is telling you that you can't go into a STEM field because it's unfriendly to women and that we have to change the STEM field. And then it says that you should go into gender studies instead of the STEM field for you to understand that it's oppressive because you can't go into the STEM field. That doesn't make sense. If you want to be a scientist, go and look at some of the women scientists out there. They are amazing and strong people. They don't care. They don't care at all about any of these imagined problems. They just went out and they went, I want to go into a STEM field, so I'm going to go into a STEM field. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do maths or science, that's fine. I don't see why we have to force people into STEM fields because they're a particular gender, just to fill up that gender. Because you don't see a lot of guys going into, say, some of the more care or family subjects because maybe they don't like it. That's okay. Some gender stereotypes or gender roles, if you like them, if you like your gender roles, if you want to do something that falls into a gender stereotype, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a bad woman. If feminism tells you that, then that's wrong. If you want to be a housewife, be a housewife. But if you want to be some sort of businesswoman, be a businesswoman. You don't have to try and analyze the patriarchy and think about it. You just have to do it. The only way to end racism is to stop obsessing over race. Maybe if we stop dividing the genders with this ideology, you don't have to be afraid anymore to be a woman. Because all of these women problems that they keep telling you about, they're not that hard to deal with, and maybe they don't exist after all. And if you're a boy who's a feminist, I don't want you to grow up with the idea that just because you are a man, that you have all of the world's problems on your back. It's okay to be who you are, because you didn't ask to be born that gender. You can't control the fact that you were born that gender. You couldn't even control the fact that you were born. That goes for everyone, race, gender, whatever. So why is it something that makes you a particular way? If you're a feminist, and you don't consider yourself sexist, and you're a guy, then how can you listen to the idea that all men are sexist? Because you're a guy, and here you are not being sexist. So I don't see how this works. And one of the things that is the most heartbreaking is when a man who's a feminist ignores all of the problems that face men. In the description, I'm going to link to the 1 in 3 campaign, which has a lot of stories from men and their experiences and a lot of kind of statistics that look into different types of violence that happens to men, and it's being ignored. One of the other reasons why I'm talking to bedroom feminists is because I don't want you to grow up with this, and then as you're growing out of it, you realize some terrible things that you've done, like trivializing the things that men go through, and thinking that it's okay to do that because they're men, or thinking that they don't go through any trouble. Like, you know that infamous video with the chick with the red hair, Big Red, and she's telling all of the men to shut up, all the men's rights activists? If you actually watch that clip fully, do you know why those men's rights activists were there? In one of the clips, they were interviewing one of them, and the man said, "My friend committed suicide, and I just want to find out why." Male suicide rates are really high, and I think we should do something about it. And one of the things that is stopping us from it is a lot of ideas in feminism that men shouldn't have support for their problems because they're always the cause. And a lot of bedroom feminists don't realize that, so I'm telling you now, I know that you don't think like that, but if you go further into this, you'll come across people that do. And if you're unaware of that, you probably go along with it. And then when you wake up from that, when you're older, you will hate that. You will hate yourself for that. I hated myself for thinking like that for a really long time. Because I know, and as much as you tell yourself that you didn't really know any better and you were confused about it, you still hate the idea that you could have grown up to be a really terrible person who basically hated on an entire gender, despite the fact that they were committing suicide and they suffered from domestic violence too. You ignored all of that just because of their gender. That is sexism. We hear all about misogyny, but we never really hear about the other side of sexism, and there is another side of it. And there's also this idea that you have to label yourself. You don't. If you're my age, if you're younger than me, you're going through so many changes right now that you're going through so many phases. If you tried to label yourself, that would harm you. Because going through phases is a natural part of just being a teenager and growing up. Being young and growing up. Going through a little bit of gender dysphoria, everyone does. And putting yourself into a label is hurting that. Because the people who are on Tumblr who put you into these labels, they're not nice people. Remember the girl who said "die cis scum" in that video? She said "die cis scum," and then everyone was talking about it. And then it turned out she wasn't actually transgender, it was just a phase. Normally, everyone was just okay with that, and they were like, whatever, teenagers go through phases. But the community that she was a part of on Tumblr hated her. They harassed her so much because she dared to drop that label. She dared to stop that because your label becomes your activism. Because of the sexual trauma suffered by me when I was a kid, when I was really, really young, I thought that I was asexual for the longest time, but my brain had just kind of repressed the idea of being attracted to people and getting close to people in that way because I was so traumatized, and I still am. And I could label myself, and I could say, no, that's not true. I'm actually asexual because I'm marginalized. But what if I grow up and I start liking somebody, and I start wanting to be in a relationship? And what would happen if I was a part of those toxic communities? My identity would now become my activism. And if I let myself be happy with that person that I was attracted to, I would get harassed for that. Because it's not my label anymore. It's something that makes me part of a team. So you don't have to label yourself. I'm not going to label myself asexual. I'm just going to label myself me. You don't have to be a different gender just because you maybe act a bit like a boy. No one acts 100% male or female, but they're still male or female because that's just what their biology is. That's what they are in their mind. That's what they really act like, but for the most part. I have a closet that is half full of boys' clothes. Half of it is just boys' clothes. And then half of it is girls' clothes. And I do that because I don't care where the clothing comes from. It doesn't make me any other sort of gender. It just makes me a girl who has the personality where maybe she wants to wear boys' clothes every now and again. And the only reason that I wear them is because they're comfortable and they would have something that I want to wear on it. Maybe they have the Triforce from Legend of Zelda and I like it, so I want to wear it. And I don't care where it comes from, so if it's from the boys section, I'll buy it anyway. That doesn't make me a different gender. You don't have to try to be different by using any victimhood or any marginalization. That doesn't have to happen. You could be different by all of the things that you like. Maybe you like a different type of music. You're unique and you're interesting because you like that type of music. You don't have to have it be a negative thing. Don't define yourself by these things. Define yourself by the things in your personality that are positive. Because if you're defining yourself by negative aspects, you're not defining yourself. They are defining you. They are controlling you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm talking to bedroom feminists, because you, being a feminist, you're letting the negative aspects of you control you. And you're letting negative people in a negative group control you. And if you really care about young women, then why are you letting this happen to yourself as a young woman? And if you really care about gender equality, why are you not paying attention to men? And I'm not saying that you have to spend all day looking up all this stuff about men and concentrating about men for all the time. I'm just saying treat them like humans. Realize that sexism does happen to men. Realize that men go through domestic violence as well. Realize that women, some of them can be kind of bad, just like they are bad men. And that it doesn't matter what your gender is, that's just what it is. That's just what humans are. So my last message to bedroom feminists is please just go and take a look at these links, and even if you don't want to, just try and reflect a little bit by what I've said as someone who is a former feminist, who decided to become an egalitarian instead, because I realized what men were going through. And do not feel stupid. Do not feel confused. If somebody tries to tell you you're stupid, then you don't have to listen to them. As I said, you're not stupid. You're just misguided. And it's okay. Do not feel ashamed about making a mistake. Never feel ashamed about making a mistake. Go and fix it. If you are questioning whether you want to be a feminist or not, if you're questioning whether you want to be a social justice warrior or not, do not feel ashamed of that. Do not feel ashamed that you were confused and you decided to become part of something that you weren't ready for, that you don't think is right for you. Do not ever feel ashamed of that. Instead of feeling ashamed, go and look at those links in the description. Go and explore some other points of view. And you will feel so much better afterwards, because every single person out there makes a mistake. And if someone is hounding you for making this mistake, they don't understand, so why are you listening to them? Go and fix something positive. Do something positive. Don't be ashamed. Just fix your mistakes and learn from them. And if you think you're scared of the people around you who have the same ideology because they're gonna not like you afterwards, I have this channel as a secret channel because my family knew about it, that I wasn't part of the feminist ideology. I don't know what would happen. They'd probably delete my channel and try to censor me. They'd probably hound me with ideas and shut me down until I agreed with them. I understand how you feel. But at the end of the day, why would you be friends with these people, or why would you hang around these people if they would backstab you as soon as you showed a different opinion? They're not good people to hang around. The ones who really care about you will respect a different opinion. Or maybe they're just as misguided as you. I think my family is just as misguided. They're not bad people at all. So I don't have anything against them, but at the end of the day, I still need to be me. And me is a disagreement. Me is someone who doesn't have to label. Me is just me. So even at the end of the day, if they kick you away from them because they have a different opinion to you and because you dared to break away, at least you're still being true to yourself, and you will meet people who respect you for having your own opinions. You will meet people who are tolerant of all of those opinions. You will meet people who would like to have a discussion about your different opinions. So always hold out for that. You don't have to be stuck in the rut that you have now. So if you are a bedroom feminist, I leave you with those links. I leave you with what I've said. And I hope that if you're struggling, put your story in the comment section. Because even if I don't reply to it, there are loads of lovely people who are subscribed to me who have come around to the channel a couple times. And I promise you that they will have some very good advice for you. They will just talk to you. You won't be alone. The people who are subscribed to me who I've met in the comments are really lovely people. So don't feel alone. And don't feel scared. The more you hold back, the more scared you're going to be. And even if you don't listen to me, even if you just shake that off and say, no, I want to be a feminist, well, at least thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your eyes at least a little bit to a different opinion, even if you don't really want to absorb it yet. And that's what I'll leave you with.